A little backstory on this. I am a female, 19 years old, and my parents just got divorced last year. With having to stay 1 week at his place and 1 week at hers, it was becoming increasingly hard for me to have a life outside of their disastrous marriage. Takeout for dinner, leftovers for breakfast, dirty laundry, unpaid bills, trash not being taken out in almost a week. The scenario was the same in both of their houses, more or less. Even with me being an adult, they still talked about things like custody, who deserved to have me, who did not deserve to live with me, and so on. They acted like I was some trophy and the victorious would have me. It was as if I was some material to be owned and not their child. I felt ashamed to even call them by the name Mom and Dad. They did not put up with any of the parental responsibility they had towards me, and at one point in time, I started feeling exhausted. Their everyday drama and my to and from movement from one place to another had started to make me sick, both physically and mentally. So, after 3 months of putting up with them, I finally decided to leave permanently and get my own place. But I lacked one important item of adulting: money. So, if I wanted to get out, I had to start working on my own. And I know my so-called parents were never going to allow me to do that. So I had an idea. I started working as a part-time waitress in a cafe near my high school, where I was pursuing my major in experimental physics. I loved cooking and experimenting with food, and physics was something I really enjoyed studying growing up. So I could not bunk my classes. I told Mom and Dad that we were preparing for some upcoming exams. Hence, I had to stay back at school with some of my teachers and friends to study till the late evening. Almost all of my friends knew about the situation at home, so they backed me up well. I crafted a believable lie and started grinding my butt off to save up rent for an apartment of my own. With good tips, an average nice salary, and a good employee bonus, I saved up enough to rent myself a decent one-room apartment and could finally move out after about 4 months of slogging. One chilly night, I finally gathered the courage and left both of them a long note about how their behavior had been affecting me, and how sorry I was for doing this over a letter, and moved out secretly, basically running away from them. Funnily enough, my parents did not care or even try to seek me out. It was like I never existed, and I finally learned what I meant to them. But that was okay. I understood that I had no business worrying about people who didn't even care whether or not I was alive. Moreover, as I liked cooking, I could finally have a cheap yet healthy meal for myself instead of takeout. Things were hard, but I managed to survive because my mom and dad were not there. Sometimes my friends shared their lunches with me, and I still worked at the cafe, so they dropped by to order something and help me there. It was all good. It had been almost a year since I started working in the cafe. I wanted to upgrade to a decent apartment, but I did not use my surplus money as I was saving up for college. Just when I had around 2 more months left to complete a year and receive a promotion, the owner of the cafe fell severely ill. She still didn't stop coming to work because, according to her, duties were more important. She was advised to rest and her health kept getting worse, hence I asked her why she was still coming to the cafe. She told me that she would die sooner if she were to sit at home, since baking, cooking, and serving fellow customers was the only thing that she truly enjoyed, even though she was the boss and not an employee. This motivated me to work harder as well. But the week after that, she could barely walk and told me that for the time being, she would like me to take over her position, just for as long as she was sick. I was super scared, and I told her that I was a mere waitress in her cafe. How could I take on any of her responsibilities? The lady who had years of experience running a cafe versus me, who had taken orders and served tables for a year. How would I stand a chance? She shook my hand and said, "Everything's going to be all right, dear. We all had to learn from scratch one day. And today's your day." With a hard resolve to learn, I sat back 2 nights in a row in the cafe seats, learning and processing how things worked. Right after this, 2 more months passed by. I received my promotion. The owner lady, as kind as she was, informed me, "Now, you have officially received your promotion. Nobody can say that I just passed the opportunity to you. If anybody does, You can tell them right in their faces that your place as the CEO was well deserved. This was in her bedroom when I was standing right beside her bedside table. I had been spending the nights at her place instead of mine, tending to her needs and taking care of her. Thank you, ma'am. I'm truly honored, but I don't understand. The CEO is the highest position in the cafe. Wouldn't that mean that the position of manager will become vacant? Also, when you come back to the cafe, how would I ever work a position higher than yours, ma'am? She slowly responded while breathing raggedly. I've already appointed someone for the position of manager. When you go back to the cafe, they will have already started working. As for my position, don't worry about it. I don't think I'm going to be going back there anymore. Me. But ma'am, did we do something wrong? Owner. No, dear, it's just, I don't think I have much time left. I could see the tears glistening in her eyes, and somehow even my face burnt hot with an unknown kind of hurt. This woman, even though not connected to me by blood, was the closest thing I had to a family. Like a grandmother, I blinked back my tears and I wanted to say, no, you just don't think that way. But no words came out. A prickling ball of silent pain felt stuck in my throat. I just stood there numbly. 2 more days and her condition took a turn for the worst. She grew thin, stopped talking, and completely refused to take any food. I knew at this point that she was just waiting for death to take over. But somewhere deep down in my heart, I felt that she could still recognize her surroundings. So I did not go to work for the next whole week and stayed in her room 24/7, letting her know that whatever it was, I will be there for her. And then on one unfortunate morning, it happened. I was overwhelmed with the grief of losing someone that I loved, but I knew at least that she died knowing that she was genuinely cared for. After giving her a respectful burial and funeral where I performed her last rites along with a few workers from the cafe, she was a bachelorette and had no contacts of any living relatives. I decided to go back to the cafe to continue and fulfill my duties as CEO, because I reckoned that this is what she would have wanted. Upon going back on the first Monday after the funeral, I found all the old faces along with the new manager. She was acting like she owned the place and ordering everyone around, but I couldn't pay much attention to this because I had a full week's worth of work to catch up to. But I overheard a speck of her conversation with Tristy, an elderly waitress who worked alongside me for a year. EM for entitled manager. Tristy, the elderly waitress. EM, have your eyes got no power left? Tristy, sorry ma'am? What? EM, oh, so you're deaf too. I asked what's wrong with your eyes. Can you not see that the 9th table from the left has not been cleaned yet? What do you get paid for? To sit and look pretty? Tristy, almost in tears. But ma'am, I just got back from my morning break and I... EM, shove your rubbish excuses someplace else and get the table cleaned right now. Before I could react, she was gone. I hurriedly left everything as it was on my desk and went to Tristy. She was heavily sniffling. Is this the new manager? I asked. Yes, she has the manager's brooch pin, Tristy uttered. You don't sweat it. I'll talk to her. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, Tristy. There was not much else to say. She smiled hurtfully through the tears at me and decided that I had to do something about it. But I waited for the day shift to be over because I did not want all of the other employees to know what was going on. But with the original owner dying, everyone was working overtime, and I would not get the chance to confront her if all of them were present. So I decided to give everyone an early leave. In the evening, I told everyone that they were to get off at 6 o'clock. The new arrogant manager chose to ignore me, and I'm sure she didn't even hear me making the announcement. Later on, after everyone had left, when I took off my CEO brooch to this entitled manager, she automatically assumed that I was trying to close the store. This is how the conversation went down. EM. Well, what do we have here? Me. Excuse me? EM. Why are you acting like you own the place? I've been observing you ever since this morning. This is your first day here, right? don't you know anything about first impressions? Me. Yeah, actually. My first impression of yours is pretty poor. EM. What did you say? How dare you talk to me like that? Me. How dare I? Rather, how dare you misbehave with Tristy earlier today? Do you have no respect for the elderly? EM. Such nonsense. Who's Tristy? Me. The same person you insulted about the table cleaning in the morning. EM. Oh God, so you weren't even working and just roaming around? How else would you know? What rubbish. Do you want to get fired on your first day of work? Me. I think your attitude towards people will get you fired even before myself. EM. That's enough. I guess you didn't know that my daughter works here too. So, listen here, you. Your misbehavior with the manager must be punished. I will only pay you if you work my daughter's shift and give up your weekends. Me. Oh, don't worry. You don't have to pay me. In fact, you don't even need to come here tomorrow onwards. EM. What do you mean? Me. It means what you did today was wrong. I'm the CEO of this company, and this is not how we do things around here. EM. Stop joking. Do you think that you can just say anything and get away with it? I know the CEO here, the old wrinkly woman with gray hair. She's the one who hired me in the first place. Me. First of all, don't you dare disrespect her. And yes, for your kind information, she passed away a few days ago, and currently I am the CEO. EM. What? No, but it can't be. She's dead? Really? And if that's the case, why haven't I ever seen you before? Me. Because I was busy with her last rites and funeral. Hopefully all your questions are now answered. I'm sure if she was alive, she would have told me that hiring you was a mistake. No employee ever gets threatened or yelled at in our company. Now get out. EM. Oh my God. Please forgive me. I didn't know. Whether you did or didn't know the whole story doesn't matter. What matters is that you chose to behave rudely with everyone and also spewed insults in their direction. So even though your daughter can continue coming, I don't want to see your face ever again in this cafe. EM. This is so stupid. You can't do this to me. This stupid cafe. Me. Yes, I can. And yes, I will. I'm the CEO, as I said. And the cafe you're calling stupid is the reason why your daughter is still employed, along with at least 30 other people who earn their living from this cafe. Now get your ungrateful self out of the door because I won't tolerate your arrogance anymore. Without giving her another chance to talk, I simply walked away to close down the store. She kept throwing a fit and eventually left 15 minutes later. This was a reminder of my parents too. She was exactly like them. The next morning, when all the other waitresses came to work, I explained to them what had happened the previous evening and also talked to the manager's daughter about why I had to kick her out. She apologized for her mother's behavior and we were still on good terms. Some backstory. I moved to Texas in 2013 when I was 26 on a whim because my relationship with my mother was toxic beyond belief. Throughout my time there, I had cut off all communication due to her alcoholism, causing a domino effect in other parts of my life, i.e. me having to call off my wedding because she decided to go into a drunken rage a few nights beforehand. Fast forward on December 23rd of 2020, my dad got COVID, spent 9 days in the hospital, and ultimately passed away on January 2nd, 2021. His death caused me to literally sell everything I owned, break my lease on my rental house, quit my beloved job, and leave all of my friends to move home to New York to help her. Her alcoholism has gotten so out of control that she refuses to work. I'm 65. I've paid my dues. So she depended on me and my younger sister to help her. I knew damn well where this was going, and I knew what the end result was going to be. She wakes up, and the first thing she does before she even takes a piss is makes herself a vodka soda. Gets so blackout drunk by 11 a.m. that she's falling on the tile floor. She shit herself multiple times. She face plants right into 2 TVs over the course of a year while trying to get off the couch. I've been home since March 27th, 2021, and she's been to detox twice. double A multiple times, but she never goes through with it. She just sits on the couch and cries about how she lost her husband. Not to discredit her, but 2 daughters also lost their dad, way too early, no warning. It's the same old song and dance. She charged me $600 a month for a glorified closet with a twin-size mattress on the floor. Not even a box spring under it. I swear, Ukrainian refugees had better living conditions than me. She makes my sister do all of the cooking because she's so drunk by the time the afternoon rolls around, she's usually passed out. Things finally came to a head back in April when I had a few friends over on a Friday night. We had a fire going out back. I'm in my early 30s, so my rager days are long gone. Just literally 4 friends. Pandora playing on my phone. Not even a speaker. And some weed. Very low-key in my opinion. Well, not low-key enough for her. She stumbles out slurring and screaming that we need to shut the hell up. Turn it down. It's so loud. It was 9 p.m. on a Friday. So I just go numb. Start yesing her to death. All the while giving my friends the, "She's about to morph into a demogorgon. Time to leave. Save yourself." I volunteer as tribute. Look. As everyone is gathering their things, she gets in my face and slurs. "You were my worst mistake, and I wish you would have died instead of your father." When I tell you it took every ounce of self-control not to just throw her into that fire pit. So I made it my mission to get the hell out. I found a rental house that I have to work 2 jobs to afford. I'm happy as a clam. I felt bad for leaving my sister. We're only 2 years apart and very, very close. I knew it was just going to take a little time before my sister had enough of her leeching. Lo and behold, I become great friends with my neighbor, who had an apartment available. And guess who's moving in solo on November 1st? That's right, my sister. And guess who has to move to bum F North Carolina because her friend is offering her a room to stay? That's right, see you next Tuesday, herself. I give it 6 months before her friend gets absolutely fed up with her drunken bullcrap. I personally don't really care what happens to her. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have any parents. I hope she dies a lonely, miserable death. I know my sister and I will be just fine. Even better when she's gone for good.